The war with Iran is taking a toll on the U.S. economy. The price of crude oil shot to its highest level since 2023 this week, surging more than 28% to more than $90 a barrel. Yesterday, Wall Street completed its worst week since October. That was coupled with an unexpected contraction in the U.S. labor market. But don't worry, we've got CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger here. Jill, make sense of this, please.
Ooh, it's a lot of stuff. So obviously, we know that the price of oil is now trickling through to the price of gas and diesel. And, just in the last week, gas prices are up about 43 cents a gallon, according to AAA, diesel up 50 cents. And I think that this is going to put a lot of pressure on Americans, many Americans, and then obviously anyone who drives. I sort of flippantly said yesterday on the show, go fill up your tank, but go fill up your tank, because I think that we are likely to see even more increases down the line. I mean, we could see the price of a gallon of gas go towards about $4. And nationally, we haven't been there. We were at $5 in June of 22, but $4 is going to be a psychological barrier for a lot of people, and they're going to feel really crimped about this. Unfortunately, the rise in energy also means that we could see a rise in food prices, not just because it takes a lot to get food to the stores, but a lot of fertilizer moves through the Gulf. It comes from the Middle East. And so that could put a lot of pressure on food prices at a time when Americans are saying, hey, we are still struggling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you go back to the summer of 2022, after Russia invaded Ukraine, there was the oil supply crunch, there was that $5 gas. And to your point, that's also when we saw inflation hit 9%. Now, Adriana mentioned this. We also had a tough jobs report yesterday, 92,000 jobs lost. Talk us through how you're putting that in context.
It's 1 month, and we always say, hey, every time we have a jobs report, they revise the previous 2 months, and then there are other revisions throughout the year. So I don't want to go crazy, but, it wasn't a great report. 92,000 jobs, about a third of those were because nurses were on strike, so those jobs will come back online. But there wasn't a lot of great news. Construction may have been hurt by a little bad weather, but overall, this was a strange report. We were expecting 50 or 60,000 jobs created. Now we lose 90. 1 month in isolation doesn't make a labor market, but it bears watching, because people have already said, hey, we're feeling uneasy about the job market. Now we're talking about inflation accelerating. When you think about the two ends of the spectrum, you say, well, I'm worried about prices. I'm worried about my job. I'm worried about the economy slowing down. That feeds into consumer confidence, and that is what we're really watching, because if people spend less money, that will be a drag on the economy.
I mean, so much of the economy is psychological,
Absolutely.
Right? Speaking of psychological moves on the economy, let's talk about the stock market.
Let's.
They had a rough week this past week. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but what should investors do?
Can I tell you that I actually thought stocks acted better than I would have imagined?
Really? Yesterday, yes.
Yeah, it was a very strange week in some respects. Yes, the markets have been selling off, but this year stocks are basically flat. Hey, you know what, gang? We're seeing this surge in oil and gas. We have unrest and war in the Middle East, and you think that the stocks are holding up pretty well? So, look, I know that people get unnerved every single day. My mother calls me. She's like, don't tell me not to panic.
That's what I'm saying.
Mom, I know. Okay, so, and this is a long-standing issue my mother has with me, because she says I am entitled to feel how I feel. And you are, and it's scary. However,
I love that that's the mother telling that to the daughter.
Just want to be clear. You're a long-term investor. You stick with your game plan. You tune out the noise. Control what you can control, and that means manage your own financial life. Don't go figuring out where the stocks are going next. You don't need to. 20, 30, 40 years in the future. Adriana, that's what you're investing for.
I hope so. Jill Schlesinger, thank you so much.